Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Nile Cruise. I'm Ahmed Nader and today I'm partnered by Russia Madi in such a beautiful historic place here in Cairo, Russia.
Welcome Ahmed, welcome. And actually today it's great to be here at the ground floor of the Egyptian Museum of Antiquities, surrounded by all these beautiful masterpieces and artifacts.
Yes, exactly. And we will be going out for a quick short break to be seeing what is on Nile Cruise for today. So let's see it.
Welcome back, and you're still watching Nile Cruise on Nile TV International, coming to you from the Egyptian Museum of Antiquities. Today we're here at the Egyptian Museum of Antiquities, and the museum actually it was inaugurated in 1901. The idea of the museum was actually by the French Egyptologist Auguste Mariette, who was also the first director of the Egyptian Museum. This is the first museum or building to be built as a museum. Before that, the ancient Egyptian collections and the antiquity collections in general were housed in palaces like the palace in Bulaq and others. Now, this museum is unique. It comprises two main floors. The first floor is arranged according to the eras chronologically. The second floor is arranged according to items. The second floor, of course, houses the mummy room as well as the treasures of King Tutankhamun. The museum houses more than 160,000 masterpieces, in addition to thousands of masterpieces in the storerooms. Today I'm happy to have with me the General Director of two museums, the Egyptian Museum of Antiquity as well as the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization, Dr. Khaled Anany. Dr. Khaled also was awarded the title of Chevalier in the field of archaeological research, and that's the highest merit and award in that field to be given from France. Dr. Khaled, welcome with us.
Welcome, it's my pleasure to host you in Cairo Museum.
Dr. Khaled, thank you very much for being with us on Nile Cruise today. If we can start by a historical look on the Egyptian Museum of Antiquities. As Russia said, it was inaugurated in 1901, that's about 115 years ago. So how did it evolve till now?
As Russia has just said now, the museum, the building was achieved in 1901, and it was opened the year after in 1902. And we celebrated last November, the 15th of November, the 113th anniversary of the building. And as Russia said also, it was the first building built intentionally to serve as a museum, because the previous ones were either palaces or industrial area like in Bulaq. The first exhibition took place in Al-Azbakiyya, the second one was behind the citadel, the third one was in Bulaq, and the fourth one was in a palace of Ismail Pasha in the pyramid area, and the fifth one is Cairo Museum. The plan was established by a French architect called Marcel Dornian, and it was opened the 15th of November 1902. The museum houses more than 160,000 objects. The objects are displayed in many areas. You have the garden for big stones, and the exhibition is on two floors. The first one is for order, starting from the prehistory till the late period and the Greek-Roman era. And the first floor are collections or objects discovered in one place, like Tutankhamun or Tanis or the animals. And you have the basement, which contain more than 100,000 objects stored, non-displayed for visitors. And we have also another storage area in the third floor, in the part of the western part of the third floor. It's one of the biggest museums all over the world, and it's the biggest pharaonic collection all over the world. And the building itself now is an antiquity. It is registered now in the Islamic department in the Ministry of Antiquities, because the building now is 113 years old.
Well, Doctor, before we start talking about the museum itself, I'd like first to ask you about some of the latest initiatives and visits. Recently, the Chinese Archaeological Institute, the director of the Chinese Archaeological Institute, Dr. Wang Wei, he visited the museum actually, and you met with him. So would you brief us on the result of such a meeting?
He came to the museum with the high official from China, from Shanghai, And 2 weeks before, I had also another visit from the director of Shanghai National Museum. So as we are establishing now a very strong relation with China, so I had received these two delegations to study how we can cooperate and collaborate together. And the director of the Archaeological Authority in China promised to study this as he returned to China, to start the first excavations together, and also in the museology field. It was a very fruitful meeting.
Yes, what about the main challenges that the museum, that the Egyptian Museum of Antiquities had faced, especially after the 25th of January revolution in 2011, on the security level?
At the museum is situated in the place of the events, in Tahrir Square. Of course, it suffered a lot. And it became a military area and a police area for 4 years. Now, after that, the situation is much more calm. We are receiving now about 2,000 tourists per day, visitors, including Egyptians. And we hope that with the stability of Egypt, we'll have more tourists. We have some challenges now, technical challenges in the museum. First of them, I have a problem. We had a serious problem for the cleaning of the museum. The museum was very dusty, especially with the work that we have in the National Democratic Party just near the museum.
Yes.
This is the first challenge, and now we recruited a new company for cleaning last December, so the museum is much cleaner than before. My second challenge is for the lighting. It's very dark, as you see.
Yes.
So we are going to change all the lighting of the museum within 2 months maximum.
Yes.
The third challenge for me is the labels. We have less than 10% only of the antiquities displayed with labels. And we started a new policy in the museum that each curator will write 3 labels per week in Arabic and English, and now we are revising them, and they will appear by end of February, inshallah.
Yes.
These are, for me, the 3 major challenges we are facing.
Yes.
What about the showcasing? Would they still remain the same old wooden ones, or you're planning to change?
They should remain the same. Now we are building in Egypt 2 very modern museums. The GEM, the Grand Egyptian Museum, and the NEMEC, the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization. Both will be reach of multimedia and modern museums. This one should remain an authentic museum with the same showcases, cleaner, painted, but the same showcases. We have to keep the same atmosphere of 1902. As for the collection, we have, as you said, 160,000 objects inside the museum, 60,000 in display, and 1,000 in the storage area, in the basement and the 3rd floor. Big part of this collection will go to the Grand Egyptian Museum and to the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization, and will keep in Cairo Museum its masterpieces and all objects related to the history of art. And we had a meeting last Tuesday with His Excellency Professor Damati, Minister of Antiquities, with the scientific committee, which are now distributing for the first time the collections on the 3 museums. So this museum will not die because it's one of the most famous all over the world.
What about the treasures of King Tutankhamun? Would they be transported, or some of them will remain
All
here?
the collection of Tutankhamun will go to the Grand Egyptian Museum. All the royal mummies will go to NEMEC. All the masterpieces will remain in Cairo Museum.
Yes, Dr. Khaled, you also said that about 2,000 visitors visited visit the Egyptian Museum of Antiquities daily. So what are the plans of the museum to be increasing that number in the coming years?
We are trying to do some awareness for the community. We made some cultural activities in the evening. We received an evening with UNESCO. We celebrated the 113th anniversary in the garden. We are receiving high authorities and high officials and visitors from all over the world. We received the composer Yanni during his visit to Egypt, some actors, the president of the Russian parliament was here 2 days ago. We are working on the infrastructure of the museum, on the lighting, on the labels, on the building.
But would it be harder to be maintaining the same number of visitors, about 2,000 visitors a day, after the inauguration of the Grand Egyptian Museum and other museums in Cairo and Greater Cairo?
I hope that Egypt will have more than 2,000 visitors per day. The 3 museums will complete each other's. That's why now we have a scientific committee gathering the 3 directors of the 3 museums with the 2 university professors and the minister himself to study how the 3 museums with the 3 concepts should continue each other. And our policy now that the Grand Egyptian Museum will deal mainly with kingship and divinities, the National Museum with the social life, agriculture, writing, the Nile, the dawn of civilization, the mummies, and this one it will be for the history of art. So we'll oblige each tourist to go to each one of the museums because there is something missing. He has to continue to go to the 3 museums.
Well, Doctor, recently Professor Dr. Mamdouh Damati, the Minister of Antiquities, has inaugurated a temporary exhibition. It's about the repatriated objects brought from various countries back to Egypt. Would you brief us about that temporary exhibition?
10 days ago, it was the 14th of January, it was the 10th anniversary of the archaeologist. We opened, His Excellency opened the temporary exhibition repatriated objects during 2014-2015. During the last 18 months, the ministry with the repatriation department in the ministry was able to repatriate more than 500 objects. We displayed 198 of them coming from 8 countries. Many ambassadors came. It was the media was present. It was a very nice celebration. It has 2 main reasons: to show the efforts done by the ministry to protect its heritage, especially in the Middle East area that we are suffering a lot with the cultural heritage in this area, like in Syria, Iraq, Yemen, and Libya. And in the same time, to encourage other countries to do the same initiative and to give us some objects that are stolen in their countries.
Yes. Now, Doctor, how can we benefit from the international cooperation in the field of museology?
The museology is a field which unfortunately is absent in our Egyptian universities. It's very strange that we don't have an heritage management study programs, neither museology program in our Egyptian university, and it's very strange. We started only recently to have master programs, and I hope that very soon we will have also museology and heritage management museology university programs in Egypt. This is very important, and we are working now. I'm a professor at Khaled University. Khaled University established 2 years ago 2 master programs with Germany in heritage management and museology, and their students will be the pioneers in Egypt in these 2 fields.
Dr. Khaled, Russia also spoke about the repatriation of a number of artifacts. About 226 artifacts are currently here in the Egyptian Museum of Antiquities. What about Denmark as a country? How did it help us in retrieving and repatriating some artifacts?
The repatriation of this more than 500 objects, we are displaying only 200 of them, but we repatriated more than 500 objects during the last 2 years. This was the result of efforts not only of the ministry, but also the authorities of the police, Antiquities Police in Egypt, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and our ambassadors in Europe, especially in the 8 countries that are displaying the objects, and the police in other countries, and some honest individuals who, when they knew that they have stolen objects, they offered us to repatriate the objects. So that's why we're exhibiting their effort to encourage other individuals to give us their objects.
Actually, Doctor, this is not the only exhibition of repatriated objects. This is the 5th. There were other exhibitions for previous years. Would you tell us about that?
It's the 5th one. The first one was opened in 2010, the second 2011, the third beginning 2014, the fourth end 2014. This one is the 5th one. It's not the last one, because the ministry is still working hard to repatriate all the objects it can repatriate. And this exhibition is a temporary one. It will end on the 29th of February.
Yes, what are the development phases of the other museums, about the Grand Egyptian Museum and the the Museum of Egyptian Civilization? What are the development phases now?
The Grand Egyptian Museum, as it's planned to be opened partially by mid-2018. the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization, I hope we can open our first gallery in April, end of April 2016. It will be a gallery dealing with Egyptian handicrafts, about pottery, jewelry, textile and woodworking. And we'll have more than 400 objects, and we'll try to catch the opportunity to open at the same time our cultural center, because we have a theater, cinema, meeting rooms, our storage area, which will be the best one in Egypt, and our labs.
Doctor, the revival of the Egyptian Museum of Antiquities initiative started in 2012. How far has it progressed?
It started very well, and the last month since I'm here, it's going slowly. I had a meeting with them this morning, and they promised to work very hard starting next Sunday, and they promised to achieve more than the half of the Gallery of Tutankhamun by next April.
Yes.
But as you know, it's not a painting work, it's a revival, so it looks like restoration work rather than painting and engineering work.
From your field of expertise, Doctor, do you feel that we need more researchers and researchers in the field of museology?
Yes, as I told you, we don't have university program in museology, and this is a big gap. And at the same time for heritage management and site management. So that's why we have to work on these two fields.
Yes, Dr. Khaled Anany, the General Supervisor of the Egyptian Museum, will be taking a quick break, and we'll be right back again with you to be continuing our speech with the General Supervisor of the Egyptian Museum. So stay tuned.
Welcome back, and you're still watching Nile Cruise on Nile TV, coming to you from the Egyptian Museum of Antiquities, and we're still joined by Dr. Khaled Anany, the General Director of the Egyptian Museum of Antiquities, as well as the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization. Doctor, we continue our interview with you, and would like to ask you about the website of the museum.
We don't have a website now, but it will be launched partially next March. There was a contract signed between the museum and the private company, but there was some delay, among other delays in the museum during the last years, and they promised that we'll launch partially the website by March. Some gaps that I observed when I arrived, that we didn't have flyers to give to the tourists with the maps, so we printed thousands of flyers, and now we're working on flyers for children, and we're working also on the signage inside the museum. There's no signage indicating the toilets, the entrance, the exit, the emergency doors, and we're working on it, and I hope by end of February this will be available, the same as the price list, and it took some delay because of the political situation and the economical situation in Egypt.
Well, these steps make it easier for the tourists and the visitors of the Egyptian Museum to be enjoying the trip here.
And that's the only way to encourage other tourists to come.
Yes.
Is working on our infrastructure. So the very few tourists we have now, when they go back to their countries satisfied with their trip, maybe they encourage and invite other people, friends and family to come to Egypt. And for me, it's the best investment. The Egyptian government now should invest in the infrastructure of the monuments of the museums.
Another important point as well that was happening during the past 15 days is that tourists can actually take pictures inside the museum. That's a new initiative, right?
It was forbidden for years and years.
Yes.
Although it's allowed all over the world, in all the museums all over the world. So we had a short period with allowed everybody to take photos, but without flash, for 38 days.
Yes.
And it ended the 7th of January. And starting from today, tickets are available, and photography, non-commercial photography, is allowed inside the museum without flash for a ticket which costs 50 Egyptian pounds. And I think it's not expensive. It's about $6, so it's not very expensive.
Doctor, another important event which recently occurred was the restoration of the mask of Tutankhamun and displaying it back in its position. Would you talk to us about that event? And please.
As you know that during August 2014, there was a bad restoration of the beard of Tutankhamun. It was my first day in the museum as director. When I arrived on the 10th of October 2015, we removed the mask to the restoration lab in the same floor of the museum. It didn't travel abroad as it was mentioned. It was restored for during 68 days till the 16th of December, and now it's back, and you see that it's in better state than before. And because it was also a very nice opportunity, not only to restore the beard, but to study the mask.
Yes, Dr. Khaled, you spoke about the political situation in Egypt in the past 4 or 5 years, and as well the economy here in the country and how it is being affected by the political situation here in Egypt. How can we connect tourism with the economy and enhance both in the same time?
In a country like Egypt, this is directly connected, because as you know, tourism is one of the main incomes to economical income to Egypt, and that's why I'm inviting strongly the government to invest in our monuments and museums to attract more people. People come to Egypt for beaches, to go to Hurghada and Sharm el-Sheikh, but beaches are over the world. But also, especially, they come to Egypt for the monuments. So that's why we should invest in our antiquities much more to encourage more people to come to Egypt.
So, Dr. Khaled, actually, you were a tour guide, then you became a university professor and Egyptologist, and now director of 2 museums. Now, the flow of the tourists in the museum, actually, when you're a visitor, you feel it's quite hard because there are certain pieces that you have an armor palette or a King Cheops statue. Now, is there any plans to facilitate that? Because usually it's quite a short or tiny space, and then once the tour guides are standing in front of the showcase, then one group can block the entire view. Is there anything to be done about it?
As you said, before being an Egyptologist and university professor, I was a tour guide for 5 years. So now I'm trying to find some solutions for the problem that I was facing when I was a tour guide. So the problem now that this museum, when it was built, it was not built for 160,000 objects. So now it became a storage area rather than a museum. So now, in our meeting with His Excellency, the Minister of Antiquities 2 days ago, it was decided to start removing objects and transferring objects to the Gem and to Namek, to have more space to work on the scenario of the museum, to have more space for tour guides and for tourists to admire the collections. And to attract more tourists, now since I arrived, I am displaying each month new objects. I restored the objects in the museum, a repatriated object, and objects coming from the basement, never displayed before, to attract more people. And I'm displaying this object in the interest of the museum. When we offer website, flyers, good labels, all these are facilities that help tourists and tour guides to work in a better condition.
Now, there were talks about having a recorder or a type of audio system to explain within speakers the history of the Egyptian civilization and the artifacts here at the museum. To what extent is that feasible?
It exists all over the world. And when the Egyptian Museum tried to do this technique 10 years ago, you remember what the tour guides did? They were not happy at all because they thought that they would replace them. The tour guide, the electronic tour guide, and the multimedia will never replace the tour guide in Egypt, and it doesn't threat their job. And now we are studying using some multimedia. For Gem and Namek, it will be a lot of multimedia. This one, as I told you, it should stay an old style museum. So we can use multimedia in a very moderate way.
Doctor, I'd like also to ask you about the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization. Now, how far is the stage of the construction and preparations? When is it expected to be inaugurated?
The museum consists of 3 phases. The first one is finished. The second one is almost finished. I hope by next April we can open it. As for the exhibition area and the display area, we need a lot of money that we cannot afford for the time being.
Yes. Well, Dr. Khaled Anany, General Director of the Egyptian Museum of Antiquities as well as the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization, thank you very much for this interview.
Thank you for visiting the Cairo Museum, and it was my pleasure and the honor. And thank you for making a nice propaganda for the museum and for tourism in Egypt. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Dr. Khaled. And right now we'll be going out for a quick break and cruise online for the main events that took place on the social media for the past week. So stay tuned.